Hey, it's Pastor James, and we are continuing this filming of the different videos for this neighbor project, encouragement for you to be a good neighbor on site at a subdivision here in the city. And we are at Kensington neighborhood again. The goal, as I've said before in filming on site, is to help you think very practically about who we're talking about. We're talking about people who live with you in subdivisions just like this when we talk about loving our neighbor. The Bible talks a lot about our care for neighbors, and one passage is from Ephesians 4, verse 25. Paul says, "Therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another." Let me just step back in that text. Paul says, put away falsehood. I think when it comes to neighbor project, I think there are probably lots of different excuses we give ourselves about neighbors and about the reasons why we don't need to talk to or build a relationship with our neighbor. Maybe we see them on the road and say, well, they're not looking at me, they're not looking this way, I can't make a contact, or maybe they look busy, or they got their iPhone, their headphones in, and just be hard to talk to them, or they've got lots of friends, or they look like they're prospering really well. They don't need me to be a neighbor. I think we tell ourselves those kinds of things, and we just move on beyond them and don't become neighbors with them. So I would think Paul would say to us, put away all the falsehoods, put away all the excuses, and think about your neighbors and how you connect with them. And then he says, speak the truth to them, speak the truth to one another. And I think before we get too far down to speaking the truth in terms of needing to preach at them about how they ought to take better care of their yard or take better care of their pets or whatever, I don't think that's what Paul is saying. Paul is saying is be a person who speaks to them in a way you reveal goodness and kindness, and you are a person who has an encouraging presence in their life. But then he says the reason to do that is because we belong to one another. We're connected to one another. I don't know if you've ever thought about your neighbor like that, but the person around you is the person that belongs to you and you belong to them. It's in that big, expansive picture of the love of Jesus that Paul is talking about. That because Jesus loved all of us equally, it's our expectation that we love one another like we are family to one another, even if we're not blood related. He wants us to have that kind of vision about the love and the care we have for the people around us, is that they are us and we are them. We belong to one another. We have a mutual responsibility to care for one another. And so I'd encourage you, who's the one that belongs to you in your neighborhood? Who's the one that you need to go beyond the excuses, reasons you put in your own mind of why you don't need to be a neighbor, and go talk to them. They belong to you. They're yours. And God wants you to show them the love of somebody who belongs to you.